I'm Robin Murphy with the Center for Robot Assisted Search and Rescue. Welcome to the Disasters in Donut podcast, where you can learn about disaster robotics and the time it takes to have a cup of coffee and savor a donut. Today I'll go over 5 simple recommendations for flying small unmanned aerial systems at night that we cover as just one part of our formal class on night flying. Giving you a few of the recommendations is sort of like giving some donut holes to go with your coffee. They taste great, but you know there's a large chocolate cream filled waiting for you out there. Being able to fly at night to monitor a wildfire or a volcano is a major benefit of small unmanned aerial systems. Normally, manned aircraft aren't allowed to fly over those events at night for safety reasons, and thus incident command can be effectively blind for 8 to 12 hours. And of course, other events such as missing persons or fires happen at night. In fact, the very first live save with a small UAS was in 2013 by the Canadian Royal Mounted Police, flying a Dragonflyer with a thermal camera at night to find a missing driver who had wandered off after a car accident. Night flying introduces a wealth of regulations and the potential for human error due to degradations in perception, all important stuff that a responsible pilot has to be aware of. And as a result, the FAA requires the remote pilot in command to take a formal training class in order to apply for a night waiver. Crazar just taught the UAS Night Operations course at Florida State University. The course was developed by David Merrick at the FSU Center for Disaster Risk Policy and covers the applicable regulations, the physiological factors introduced by night flying and the resultant impact on aeronautical decision-making, and the equipment needed to fly at night. The course also covers the concept of operations and best practices we've learned from our members' flights, plus our recent deployment to the Kilauea volcano, as well as the numerous UAS tabletops and exercises we've hosted for response professionals since 2005. Our class covers the mandatory content plus best practices and provides hands-on training. So here are 5 observations about night flying that you probably won't get in just the basics course. 1. Don't stress about flying at night. Night flying can actually be easier in some ways than flying during the day. There's less manned aviation, and it's actually easier for the visual observer to track the bright lights of the UAS at night. However, night flying does introduce some potential and dangerous human factor errors, but those are manageable with training. 2. Put the strobe light on top of the UAS. The strobe is there to help manned aircraft see the UAS, not to make it easier for the VO, although it does that. Remember to be careful on placing the strobe in an external battery supply. You don't want to unbalance the platform or to risk it coming off in flight and damaging the rotors. 3. A high-powered flashlight is your best friend. A flashlight helps you visually sweep the landing zone before you take off and spot power lines or tree branches that might be missed. 4. Have an experienced VO, especially to help overcome the loss of depth perception during landing. This isn't the time to hand a flashlight to a newbie and hope they point it in the right direction. The VO should both help illuminate the landing zone and any obstacles to worry about, plus give verbal feedback on the UAS position, something like move back. 5. The pilot needs to be experienced enough to be able to operate every button or stick on the controller with eyes closed. They won't be able to find that PAF or sport mode switch in the dark. They need to know where it is by field. So there you are. The next Crazar Night Flying class is scheduled for October 22nd, but do contact us about offering the course earlier at your location.